I guess it's time for another Pistons video. Now let me quickly say as well, let's talk about Blake Griffin briefly. This video is not about Blake Griffin, don't worry. I'm not talking about Blake Griffin's debut with the Nets and how he scored 2 points. No, that's not really on the top of my mind, but what is, he dunked the ball. He dunked an NBA basketball on a rim. It's amazing stuff. He's 6'10". Like, I know it's funny to say, oh, he finessed the league, he finessed the Pistons, now he's got his athleticism back. He's 6'10" and he did a rim grazer. Like, come on. Like, what are we talking about now? What are we really talking about? Like, I think I could make that dunk, and I'm not 6'10". Let's move on to a different topic, and let's talk about the Pistons currently and the players on the current roster. And ironically, the only player to be on the roster with Blake Griffin last year, that's Sekou Doumbouya. Now, if you've watched my channel, basketball, Pistons content in general, you would realize I'm normally pretty optimistic. I'd like to think, at least. I have some digs every now and then, but there's a difference. But anyways, I'm normally pretty optimistic, I'd like to think. So when I'm talking about this video, it's a bit more of a negative type of video towards the Pistons in general. Some fans, not really talking about the fans this video, mainly just about the Pistons organization. And I think a huge missed opportunity with the development of Sekou Doumbouya and how they've really slipped up on this. Now, before I go any further, if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, it just really helps out a lot. It's free, so that would be cool. It just helps, so that would be much appreciated. But anyways, moving back into it, where do we start with Sekou? Where could we possibly start? Actually, let me quickly start by saying all the people calling him a bust. It's time to trade him. It's time to move on. He sucks. Let's keep in mind he's played like 60 NBA games. He was a project player. I've clarified that as many times as possible. There's no more times I can say that, but project player. He wasn't supposed to be good at this point in his career. Sure, has he taken steps back when we thought he was going to take steps forward? Yes, but development isn't necessarily linear. Some players in their third year have a worse year than their first year, and then in their fifth year, they break out. Like, you just don't know. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going all the way downwards and he's going to be out of the league in 3 years like a lot of people would have you believe. What's the point of calling him a bust? That's what I don't understand. If he gets traded, if he gets moved on, then you can slander him if you want. Like, I don't really know why you would, whatever. Like, he seems like a nice guy. I don't know why you would. But anyways, you can do that. Obviously, he's on a different team then. But while he's on the Pistons, while he's still in his second year, why are you calling him a bust? Is it just because you want to be right and be like, oh, I was the one who called him a bust in year one. I called him a bust when he was in high school. I called him a bust when he was first out of the womb. Like, what are we getting from that? What are we achieving? You're not achieving anything from calling him a bust. Yeah, congratulations, you called him a bust 2 months before someone else did. Like, why not give him a chance? I think I'd rather be wrong saying he's still got potential and he could still be a good player than call him a bust right now and be like, oh yeah, I was right, I called this guy a bust, now he sucks, he's out of the league. It's like, just on that, it's just dumb. I don't know why we're talking about that. But anyways, I'm not getting into that today. I'm going to talk about something that's less subjective than calling someone a bust, and that is his stats and what he was playing like last year in the G League, and why I think the Pistons missed an opportunity by not going to the G League this season. When we look at what Sekou was doing last year, his regular season, which was pretty good, 6 points a game on just under 40% from the field, doesn't seem great. But again, youngest player in the draft class, project player. He surprised a lot of people with how quickly he came in and actually made an impact. Then he tailed off towards the end of the season. But overall, he seemed to surprise quite a lot of people with how good he was. But a lot of this came from the confidence and just the play that he got in the G League earlier in the season, where he played 16 games. And most people would think, oh, it's easy to dominate the G League. They're a bunch of scrubs. Not quite. I'll give you examples of players that are highly recruited going into this draft class, that have been highly recruited in the past, guys in their second, third year, that have had good seasons, not crazy seasons, and still turned out to be great NBA players. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to dominate that, particularly straight out of France, out of a different country, moving to a different team and all of those things. So he did pretty well considered, but I just encourage you to watch his G League highlights. Now, don't do that right now, not right now. Don't click off the video. We don't need that. You don't need to click off the video just yet. You can do that after if you want, but I'd encourage you to watch his G League highlights. Unfortunately, I can't put it up because YouTube, you know how it is. But anyways, I'd encourage you to watch it because the confidence that he has in his game would surprise you. Now, we've seen his confidence before. We've seen him take some shots that you probably don't think he's going to make, or you probably think he shouldn't take, but the confidence he has in the G League just last season as a first-year player, it was something else. He was hitting step-back threes, like consistently step-back threes, off the dribble, faking out players, driving to the rim, something we know he can do, but just the consistency. Hitting fadeaway mid-range jumpers, step-back mid-range jumpers. He had the whole package for someone 6'8", 230 pounds that was supposed to be a raw prospect. His skill level looked very high for that kind of player, so I'd encourage you to watch those highlights. Again, just wait till the video's over, would you? please. But anyways, moving back to it. Yeah, he showed a lot of that, considering he was a player that was seen as raw, athletic, had potential going to the rim defensively. He wasn't seen as someone that would put up 36% from three on over 5.5 attempts over 16 games. Yeah, those are the numbers he put up. And like I mentioned, it's not like he was just taking catch and shoot wide open threes. No, he was taking legitimately hard, tough, contested shots. And I think it just came from being in rhythm, being in confidence, knowing that he was going to get the shots regardless. Maybe it was just a hot streak. That happens every now and then. Some players go on 20-game hot streaks. Maybe the competition was just slightly worse to the point where he shoots better. But from what I've seen in the G League, if there's one thing that doesn't seem to spike a ton, even if you go down to the G League, players that I've seen do it this year, is three-point percentage. They're generally shooting around the same, if not lower, because they're taking more difficult shots like Sekou was taking. But he was shooting nearly 36% on nearly 6 attempts a game, and his averages were 17.5 points a game, 6 rebounds or something, on nearly 49% from the field, nearly 85% from the free throw line on a decent amount of attempts in 16 games, as I mentioned. By the way, the Pistons went 10-6 in this period of time, so he was helping them win. I don't need to stress this. These are great numbers for a first-year player. These are really good numbers because, like I mentioned, some players will put up these kind of numbers, but the efficiency, 49% from the field, nearly 36% from three, 84% from the line. Those are really efficient numbers for someone that wasn't supposed to be seen as that kind of polished offensive prospect. He was seen as someone with a lot of potential. So you're telling me he did that last year, and now all of a sudden he can't get in the rotation? What are we talking about? If he can't get in the rotation, he should be playing minutes right now in the G League, because I'll just get onto it now. There's players that have played in their second year currently. Jordan Poole, for example, I just made a video on him before. He went to the G League. He played well. He put up 22 points a game. He just had a lot of freedom to do whatever he had. But his numbers, 22 points a game, 45% from the field, 32% from three, turning the ball over nearly 5 times a game. Those were his numbers. And then he went to the NBA and it translated. Those aren't crazy numbers, but he just got confidence from it. He just built up his game, and all of a sudden he came back to the NBA and he looked a different person. Kevin Porter Jr. is someone that you probably like. A lot of people like him. I liked him as a talent. 24 points a game, 7 assists, 45%, 33% from three, and again, nearly 5 turnovers a game. Nothing crazier than Sekou, and Sekou was doing it last year as a rookie. And again, this has really helped these guys' development. It's not like they just came back and all of a sudden those numbers were nothing. No, it's clearly helped their development. And I want to even take it a step further. Look at players from this year's draft class that you might be hoping the Detroit Pistons draft. Last year, like I mentioned, Sekou was the youngest player in the draft class. So when you compare it to guys on the Ignite team like Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga, the age gap isn't actually that major because Jalen Green is more of an older player in his draft and Sekou was a younger player. So there's about 2 months difference between Jalen Green at this point in time and Sekou last year when he was in the G League. And look at Jalen Green's numbers, someone who's probably a top 3 pick that you probably want the Pistons to take if we don't get Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, someone like that. Top 5 pick for sure. 46% from the field, 36.5% from three, at about the same age, like I mentioned. Those aren't crazy numbers, yet he's seen as someone, because he's got high potential, he's got athleticism, he does all of these things, but those are very similar numbers to Sekou, and he's got similar kind of traits in terms of athleticism upside. Like, what am I saying here? Jonathan Kuminga, top 5 likely, top 6 maybe, like who knows, he's going to be a top 5 or 6 pick. 15.8 points per game, 38.7% from the field, 24% from three. And we're raving over these guys. Sekou Doumbouya last year, not that much older than these guys, this year put up better numbers probably, or similar numbers to Jalen Green, who looks like a top 3 pick in this year's draft, which is seen as a stacked NBA draft. You see what I mean? Like, these are the numbers he was putting up. So he's shown signs. It's not like he's done nothing at G League or NBA level, and then we saw it at the NBA level briefly where he showed signs of it. And then again, even to further this point, it's not like, oh, he's suddenly just fallen off a cliff this season. Sekou's come back fat, he's come back unfit, he's done all of these things, maybe he's mentally not there. Maybe those things are somewhat true. I don't know everything about the locker room, obviously, but we just saw it in the preseason against the Knicks. He scored 23 points. I know I'm reaching the preseason, but that was against a good Knicks team, a full-strength Knicks team, trying to win games. If you know Tom Thibodeau, he's not trying to go out there and lose games, and they played their full-strength team pretty much the whole way through. He scored 23 points, and it was mainly just because he had more freedom to move, to cut to the line, to shoot threes, to do all of those things. So he's clearly still got some signs of what he showed before. And then if you think there's an age limit on the G League, he shouldn't go now in his second year. Christian Wood, and Christian Wood. Like, what else do I need to say? That man was in the G League for like 7 years, and now he's an all-star level player, which I don't need to tell Pistons fans. I'll move on quickly from there. But even Josh Jackson, he revived his career, 3rd or 4th year in the league? He was in the G League last season. There's plenty of examples. Those are just a few. Pascal Siakam. If you think age is an issue, if you think he's been in the league too long, no, he just hasn't. So second year, he should have been in the G League. Maybe third year, he could still go in there, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. But this was really the year where he should be getting those minutes there and then translate to the NBA, which is why the Pistons have missed a huge opportunity. And why I'm even talking about this, because while Sekou didn't play last night for starters, but it looks like he's on the trading block, or at least they don't really see him as a huge part of the future, because the Pistons have been involved in trading for Aaron Gordon, John Collins, at least rumored to be after them. Those are power forwards, if you didn't realize. Sekou Doumbouya also a power forward, if you didn't realize. If his name's not being floated, they're at least not really giving him too much confidence to the point where they're looking to guys that are going to be solidified starters, and then where are his minutes coming from? I'm not here to just defend him the whole way and say, oh, Sekou should be getting 30 minutes a night. What is this? The Pistons are completely mismanaging it. I'm just saying it's a missed opportunity, because we had a chance to give him G League minutes, which have helped out players in the past, helped out players this year, will continue to help out players in their second years who are seen as project players, and he's shown that at the G League level, when given the opportunity and responsibility, he can play at a similar level to a lot of players that you probably want the Pistons to draft, or you might have wanted the Pistons to go after, or young talented players in the league currently. So it's not like he's just some kind of scrub. Sekou Doumbouya has shown when actually given the opportunity, and that kind of leads into what I'm going to say at the NBA level. Probably wrap the video up with this. But at the NBA level, it's one thing for him to not get as many minutes. It's just the role he's playing is just not suited to him. Let's be honest. His shooting numbers were good, but at the core of it, he is a guy that likes to attack the rim. He's a guy that likes to cut. He's a guy that likes to be active around there. And then when he does shoot his shots, when he's in rhythm, then yeah, sure, he's shooting it. But he's not someone that should just be spotting up and shooting the three ball. And that's kind of what he's been doing the whole time. And it doesn't help when you've got guys like Josh Jackson, Jeremy Grant, Delon Wright. You can look through the whole list, and it's just a list of guys that like to attack the rim and don't particularly shoot the three ball particularly well. And like I mentioned, Troy Weaver's done a great job. Dwayne Casey, I think, is doing a really good job, but he's just not being utilized particularly well. And if you don't have a perfect situation for him in the NBA to really flourish, then that's where the G League comes in. That's the perfect example where it comes in, and then he plays to a point where it's irresistible. If he's putting up 20 points a game on 50% and 35% from three and just dominating the G League, then obviously you got to look at him and say, well, if he can do this at the G League, which is no easy feat, then maybe we give him some more opportunity at the NBA instead of just spotting up and shooting threes, which isn't his game, and all of a sudden he might show what he showed last year at the NBA level as well, against NBA competition when given more of an opportunity. That's all I've got to say. It's getting a bit frustrating. Like I said, I like to be optimistic, but it's just frustrating. People have given up on Sekou, and it looks like the Pistons might have already. Maybe that's premature, but I'm just saying. He sat last game, and this trade talks for a power forward. So it just seems like, does that not add up? Am I missing something? That seems to add up to me. This is one thing that I think's been a negative on the season, and the development of someone who was a lottery pick just last year. And he wasn't just any lottery pick. It'd be something if he just turned out last year and he showed no promise. But this is someone that showed immense promise. He showed a lot of promise, so that's a reason why we're still high on him and why he should be given a bit more opportunity. He's already shown that he can cut it at the NBA level. He can cut it at the G League level. But it's just going to take time, and people don't seem to be giving him that time or opportunity. That's all I've got to say. Anyways, have a good day. Catch you next time. Bye.